Yeah, so I'm excited to talk more Leprechaun. And
watch the shamrock shake my ass! You.
Well, this is awkward.
It's time to hack the movies. Today, we're talking about tapes with Tony and this other person.
Talking about tapes.
Hey, Tony, what are you doing in the other store?
Oh, I left my my Milton bobblehead here, and I stopped by the store to pick it up. I definitely haven't been doing a show in the abandoned store this whole time, and you're definitely still not getting charged for electricity and whatnot. Don't check. How you been, James? What's going on?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so is this kind of like a Hack the Movies edition of rental reviews?
Yeah, sort of. You could say that. We did Leprechaun 1 and 2 the last 2 years, so we thought it'd only be natural to do Leprechaun 3. Which is probably tied with 4 as my favorite Leprechaun. I really, really enjoyed this one, mostly because it's the Leprechaun going to Vegas.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Vegas.
Recently, me and Kieran, we did Wishmaster 2, where the evil genie goes to Vegas. And that was a great episode that no one can see because we got a copyright strike. And the only way you can watch it is in Germany for some reason. That's the only place YouTube allows the Wishmaster 2 episode to play. But yeah, so we got Leprechaun in Vegas. And this movie the previous 2 were comedic, but this one is going all in and doubling down on the comedy. I love the guy in the beginning. The dude, he walks into the pawn shop. He has Lucky on his hand, but then he's missing an eye and a hand and a foot.
I like that setting, too, with all the old TVs and everything he has for sale. It looks like a lot of places I knew in, like, South Jersey. There was a lot of, like, those trading places that just had all kinds of old electronics and everything.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you get a new TV. Well, take your old one in here and, maybe get a few bucks for it or something.
So he brings in the Leprechaun, who is a statue. So again, I mentioned this in the previous ones we did. I'm pretty sure it's a different Leprechaun each time because they all have different powers, different weaknesses. So this one turns to stone if you put a medallion on him. That's the thing for this episode, this entry into Leprechaun. So the store owner gives him like $20, I think, and the guy just leaves town. He tells him not to take the medallion off, but he can't help himself, so he takes the medallion off. And right away, we got the Leprechaun shooting out his limericks and whatnot. He's like rhyming constantly. He's biting ears and toes off. And the Leprechaun runs away with his gold and he leaves 1 shilling behind. And then we cut to our main actor, Scott. And he picks up a woman named Tammy, whose car broke down. And I feel bad for the actress playing Tammy. This is her last movie.
Oh, really?
Jennifer Aniston really lucked out in the Leprechaun thing.
Wow, yeah.
She's in Leprechaun 1 and she has this huge career. And then nobody else was ever remembered for a Leprechaun movie after that.
Yeah, you never know.
The guy played Scott, he just seems like such a creep. And the actor, I looked up an interview with the actor because he's like a writer. He has made fun of his own acting. He's like, yeah, it's a scary movie. The scariest part was my acting.
What do you think?
Have you ever blown a rod before?
I beg your pardon?
Yeah, I forget. In that scene, was he intentional or was it was he actually trying to make an innuendo or was it?
No, he wasn't. He's supposed to be like a naive young kid. He's supposed to be under 20. He's supposed to be under 21, but he looks like he's like 25.
Yeah, that's always the case with these movies. The age is always...
It really is.
Yeah, that's another thing that struck me. It's kind of like the Blob thing with Steve McQueen.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, you really look like you're a hip teenager, Steve McQueen.
Yeah, they do that all the time. But it's totally creepy. I forgot, I watched it a few nights ago, but I couldn't remember if it was an accident, he just kept making innuendos unintentionally.
No, I think he's just a naive guy, but yeah, he seems like a real psychopath.
yeah, it's like they could have cast him in it's some other kind of role, like a stalker kind of role. I think a lot of times movies, it's just an issue of miscasting.
Yeah. But I like when we cut back to the store owner. By the way, I could have just had a whole movie of the store owner and the leprechaun just fighting each other. Like, that was more interesting to me in the first act. But I love that he somehow has a CD program that knows a lot about leprechauns, and it comes complete with cartoons.
And it's one of those CDs that you put in sideways, too.
Yeah.
This reminds me of before, like, the internet was huge. You ever have, like, Encarta Encyclopedia, those like encyclopedia discs?
Exactly. Cinemania.
Yeah. I used to have those like encyclopedia things because they were like big at the time. And then the internet kind of became more popular and did away with that.
Yeah, I remember my first glimpse at Nightmare on Elm Street was on one of those Cinemania CDs, because sometimes they would have a little, like a short clip from the movie on the CD, and it was really shitty low resolution. But seeing it then, it like looked really cool. You're like, oh my god, look at this! It's playing video like off a CD. It's like crazy.
Yeah, I thought that was like the coolest thing when I was a kid. I'm like, oh my god, there's a video on the computer.
And I like all the things he has to click on. There's like mermaids and unicorns and stuff like that.
I just want to know, like, why did the shop owner have this program, and why did he have it like ready to go?
If the leprechaun's real, so the leprechaun's obviously real in the movie, does that mean that the mermaids, the unicorns, and everything else that was on that menu is real? Because then we could have a whole cinematic universe of like fantasy killer, creatures.
You really could. I'm kind of shocked they didn't really go in. Well, I guess the fourth one has an alien, but it's like a sexy lady alien, so they didn't go too crazy. But yeah, I'm surprised they didn't work in other, like, because they mentioned like leprechauns were elves in one of the movies. You could have worked in some elves. They could have went really nuts. I know people like used to do fake trailers for Leprechaun versus Wishmaster, and that would have been like the best because they both can grant wishes. They both have like weird powers. I think that would have been a good one. Scott drives Tammy to the casino, and of course it's the Lucky Shamrock Casino. Now, James, I have not been to Vegas. I know you have.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Maybe one day I'll make it to Vegas dressed like Benicio del Toro. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I've never been to Vegas. Do casinos there just have their name on like a banner that's strung up?
Funny is that it looks familiar. It looks like a real place, but they just put a banner of the Lucky Shamrock in front of it, which is really funny because I was like looking at that and I was like, I wonder where that is, because I bet that's a real casino underneath that banner.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it looked like they just like took a hotel or something and just put a banner on top and said, yeah, it's a casino for the movie. You find out Tammy is a magician's assistant. So he kind of like asks her to go into the casino and she's like, fine, but don't gamble. And I don't know why she's risking everything for this guy. It just seems kind of like, I know he gave you a ride, but come on, don't do that.
Yeah, it's every horror movie. It's the same thing. You tell them not to do something and they do it.
So the store owner's fighting again and they like come to a stalemate. They retreat. The casino, like you said, inside we meet Fazio the magician, and Loretta is played by Caroline Williams from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yeah.
Who'd she play? Stretch? Was that her name in that movie? Stretch?
She's in our Twitter orbit too, by the way. She's tweeted, yeah.
Oh, she's great in this movie. She's probably one of the best parts. She's hilarious.
She's really good in Search of Darkness. If you check that out, in Search of Darkness, like 1 and 2, she does a really good job with the interviews are really insightful.
Yeah. We actually have, like, Newt has the poster that's your poster for that movie in his office. Yeah, so she's great. And I was going to say Texas Chainsaw 2, this year I finally saw the Joe Bob deleted scene. Like, someone finally, like, uploaded it to, like, Twitter or something.
Is that a Mr. Goody truck?
We find out the casino is owned by a guy named Mitch, who apparently owes money to like two, I guess they're supposed to be tough guys, but they're really funny. Like the guy that he owes money to, like he's got like the weird henchman, but he just looks like he doesn't look like the tough muscle guy you see in movies. He just looks like a dad. The other dude is just cracking jokes constantly. So back at the store, the leprechaun and the store owner try to make like an agreement, like a deal. To like give the medallion for the gold, and then of course the leprechaun just friggin' lies and like kind of murders him.
I told you a terrible lie, and now you're going to die.
And then we see the worst magic show ever. I don't know if you've ever been to a magic show, but this is probably one of the, like, I've seen David Copperfield live, and this is like the worst magic show in existence.
Yeah. It's kind of funny how magic works, like magic shows work in movies, because they could still do a trick that would be normally amazing if it were done in real life, but in the context of the movie, they do it in a way where it's like, yeah, we screwed up. Oh, did you see WandaVision?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it's really good. I think it was episode 2 where they did that magic show, and they're doing like this like amazing stuff, but you know they're trying to make it fake. So it's like it's really a funny twist on that.
What is it? The trap door doesn't go off, so he like opens up the trap door and she's like not there. It reminded me of if you ever watch Arrested Development, Will Arnett's character is a magician. He usually screws up like this.
There's another movie, Seven Faces of Dr. Lowe, where there's a wizard Merlin is on stage doing tricks, and he's making flowers grow and everything, and nobody's impressed. Everybody just like thinks he's this terrible magician because there's like one trick that he fails on or something, but he still did all this amazing stuff. I think he even made somebody float or something, and it's like the crowd is just like, you know, heckling him and everything, and it's funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's be like, okay, he screwed up that one thing, but the rest was awesome. It's like,
yeah, like he didn't pull a rabbit out of a hat, he accidentally pulled a hamster out or something like that.
Yeah, this is kind of related. The latest AEW pay-per-view, All Elite Wrestling, really good pay-per-view, great matches. The very end was an exploding barbed wire match, and the ring was supposed to like blow up at the end. It was supposed to look like this cool explosion.
Okay.
And they screwed up the pyrotechnics. So it just like sparklers went off and then there was just a little poof. but the wrestlers in the ring didn't know. So they're acting like this big explosion went off. And like all last week, people were joking and memeing about it to the point where like it's now part of the storyline. They're making a part of the story where like they screwed up. But that's an example of like that whole match was awesome. And then the ending, it was just a little poof and it ruined it for everyone. I'm like, well, the rest of the match was good.
Well, are pay-per-view events still like $50?
Yes, they are.
I just felt like I entered a time machine or something because I had to watch that Mike Tyson fight like a while ago. It was like a couple months ago, and I was like, is it seriously $50? Is it still the same exact pay-per-view thing where I was like, this is ridiculous. Like I just went into a time machine. I felt like the 80s again.
It's a little easier now because you could just do it on like your phone and stuff. You don't have to like call the cable company and stuff. I remember that was always a nightmare.
I think this is the scene where he offers his watch when he's gambling, which is like a cliche in a lot of movies where, you know, the person runs out of money and they're like, well, I got this watch and it's always this important watch. It's like my grandfather gave it to me or something like that. And I always wonder, would that work in a casino? I mean, could you actually like just give your watch? I mean,
well, in this one, she tells him to pawn it and come back for the money for the watch.
I feel like if you can do that at a casino, like who knows? I'm just speculating that perhaps in the casino there's a jeweler, like there's a booth you could go to and be like, hey, here's some jewelry I have, and then they would assess it for you and tell you what it's worth, and then you could, if you agree, you know, they'd give you it in chips, of course. They're not going to give you the cash because, you know, then you could just, people could go there just trying to get it cashed. So they'll be like, well, you could cash your chips in, but you got to go over there, you know, to where you cash them in past like all those slot machines, those low roller tables, and right over there where that person won big, you know, go over there, like past there to go cash it in.
You should be a real asshole when you go to Vegas next. Bring like rare video games and be like, yeah, what can I get for this? How many chips can I get for this? The appraiser's just like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, because they always just do it like right at the table. It's like, oh, here's my watch. Here's Earthbound. What is it? Earthbound 3 Mother. Like, here's Earthbound. Here you go. And they're just like, hold on, I gotta look it up. So yeah, Scott loses money. He goes to the owner.
he finds the computer that's still running the Leprechaun program, which I think it foreshadows what's happening later, where it says leprechauns hate other leprechauns and they don't like to share things. That's some heavy foreshadowing. We also find out that the leprechaun's power comes from its gold, and its gold can grant wishes. So, of course, he grabs the shilling and he's like, oh, I wish I was on a winning streak. And boom, he cuts back to the casino. He just magically appears and he's just winning constantly. I've never been that lucky at a casino. I don't know if you have. I've done okay sometimes, but actually, this is a pretty funny story. I decided years ago, I was going to Atlantic City with some friends for one of our friends' birthday. And they were like, all right, yeah, let's, we'll all drive up together. And I'm like, okay. And then I get to the house and they were like all doing drugs. And I'm like, oh no, I can't get in the car with any of these people. So I drove myself all the way to Atlantic City. And this is when I was unemployed and I had like no gas. So like I'm in Atlantic City and I'm like, I have no idea how I'm getting home. I put $5 into like a slot machine and I got like 100 something out of it. I'm like, oh, cool.
Oh, okay.
So like I really like saved myself there.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like,
That's good. Yeah.
I know that was like I mean, I've done pretty well, but like that was the one time where like I was screwed and just like fate shined its light on me and saved me from that situation. Oh man, that was a fun night. So yeah, he's cleaning house, and I like how they have the. Oh god, sorry, my leprechaun bow's falling off. I like that they rigged the machine. They have the machine rigged, but his magic is like breaking it. And like even Mitch goes up to Loretta. He's like,
I don't know. I think what you told me. Something went wrong. Something went wrong.
Yeah, well, you better get the money back or something will go with you. You know what I mean?
So then we get like some of the best parts of this movie are the leprechaun just walking around Vegas. And I wish there was more of the leprechaun just walking around Vegas.
Yeah, like it looks like they did some on location stuff. Like, have you looked into this movie, like, you know, where they shot it and everything?
Oh crap, I forget. I think they did shoot a little bit in Vegas or maybe Reno. They definitely filmed somewhere.
Yeah, because the Golden Nugget is in there, and the leprechaun walks right in front of the Golden Nugget, and it looks like they shot it there. And
then they probably was Vegas. They probably went for like a day.
So I'm just thinking, could you imagine being in Vegas and then you see Warwick Davis in like leprechaun makeup and everything, just walking in front of the Golden Nugget? I just wonder how much does it cost to like shut down a block of Vegas to film something like that?
Realistically, James, I think they might have just stole the shots. I think they might have just set up.
Which makes it more amazing, because then you're just like, wow, like you could have just seen the leprechaun in Vegas. You could have actually been there.
You're probably in that movie and you don't even realize. Like later on, you're watching Leprechaun 3 and you're like, oh my God, there I am.
It's kind of like Kane Hodder and Jason Takes Manhattan, which was like the only scene in Manhattan where they just filmed right in Times Square, and all these people saw Jason in Times Square, so he stayed in character the whole time, and you know, people would be taking pictures at him and he would just be like staring at him and stuff.
Yeah, this definitely feels like Jason Takes Manhattan, because they only clearly filmed in real Vegas for like a second and everything else is on sets. However, at least unlike Jason Takes Manhattan, this movie is in the story of the movie, it's all in Vegas.
Exactly. And like you're in a casino most of the time. It could be any one of the Vegas casinos. So it's you know, we know it's a sound stage or something, but it still makes you feel like you're in Vegas the whole time. Where Jason Takes Manhattan, they were like, well, what can we do? How about let's just have like 80% of the movie be on a boat?
That's what I like about this one. It's like, all right, we're not really in Vegas, but here's a building that's in Vegas. Like, at least it did that. It learned from Jason Takes Manhattan's mistakes. Look, James, hot take. I like this movie more than Jason Takes Manhattan. I don't know if I'm in the minority there.
I think that's pretty accurate. I mean, I don't know. Jason Takes Manhattan has its moments. Oh, did we mention the rhyming? Like this whole movie, the leprechaun speaks in rhyme almost the entire time.
Yeah. Oh, you were a poet. You didn't even know it, James.
Yeah.
A lucky sign. The golden side will soon be mine.
Yeah, Tammy is like pissed that Scott gambled and like won a ton of money. She's like, oh, God damn it. She's like, just go to your room and don't do anything else. Just go to your room.
Wait a minute, you know what you needed? Because there's one note I saw you have in there. What we need to have is a Fear and Loathing in Vegas meets Leprechaun. Like a mashup of both movies.
The Leprechaun runs into another celebrity. He runs into Elvis.
Yeah, or I mean, do you think he's meant to be the Elvis, or is he an impersonator?
Well, I assume he's an impersonator, but that doesn't explain why there's paparazzi for it.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I would say it's Elvis because he got a leprechaun, so it might as well be the real Elvis.
But I like that it's not the paparazzi. It's just one camera guy taking pictures of Elvis, which I thought was bizarre. But I love that they comment each other. They compliment each other's outfits, and you get this
impersonation of Elvis right in front of him.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Hey man, you do that pretty good.
They do the Elvis moves together. Oh man, that part is great.
Yeah, I know that's got to be Mike's favorite part, the Elvis scene.
Yeah. Me and Mike have talked about these movies a couple times, and I think he likes that part.
Yeah, I think he used a clip of it in Monster Madness many years back. I don't think we ever reviewed this one, though. I don't know, we were talking about it in some other review. I forget.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're doing it now.
You know what's funny? I don't remember reviewing Leprechaun 2 because everything becomes a blur now. Like, this has just been, things have been so crazy that it's just like, now I don't...
That was probably the last time we filmed here was when we did Leprechaun 2, to be honest. Because then I went to Florida that week, and then that's when everything happened.
Yeah.
So, that's when I fought in the Kumite. That's for all the rental review fans. That's when I went to fight in the Kumite. And then the Leprechaun actually bumps into, like, the two gangster dudes. And they try to start, like, trouble with him. And then he makes the guy just start vomiting up coins. And this is the second time in this show where we've talked about someone having coins come out of their body. Because in Wishmaster 2, James, I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a great film. The Wishmaster goes up to a girl when he's like making the whole casino go nuts. And he goes, you just crapped out. And she shits out a bunch of coins. So in just a few months, we've done 2 movies where a magical monster makes coins come out of one end of a person's body.
Yeah, that's what these movies are about. Just like creative kills and puns and stuff like that.
Well, the funny thing about this is it's not a kill because that guy's fine a couple scenes later. So he just made the guy vomit out coins for no reason. Loretta figures out that there's something about Scott's gold shilling that's helping him win. So she sends like Fazio to go get it. And Fazio is pretty graceful with his heist, and by that I mean he just punched the shit out of Scott and then leaves. Then the Leprechaun conveniently shows up. He gets into a fight with the Scott character, and oh my God, James, Leprechaun blood gets it mixed with Scott's blood, and this is when you realize this movie's about a were-leprechaun. Now, you've seen more horror movies than me. James, have you ever come across a were-leprechaun movie before?
No.
What's the weirdest were something movie you've seen besides this?
I mean, the only one I could think of is Whale Wolf.
The one I think of is, did you ever see the New Zealand horror film Black Sheep about the zombie sheep?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I haven't seen it, I don't think, but I remember seeing trailers and stuff.
Yeah. That movie, a guy gets bit by the zombie sheep and he turns into a were sheep. So that's the weirdest were thing I've seen before this. Definitely check out Black Sheep. It has the best tagline ever. It's get ready for the violence of the lambs. It's the best tagline I've ever seen.
Why did they just call it Violence of the Lambs?
That would have been a way better title, but whatever. It's a great movie. He stabs him in the head and throws him out the window. And the Leprechaun like tries to crack a joke, but it doesn't really work.
Next time, I'll take the elevator.
They're trying to figure out how the coin works, and Fazio's like, this is bullshit. And Loretta's like, no, it'll work. And then Mitch grabs it, and he's like, I can have any girl I want. And she's like, oh, you wish. And then magically, he wants Tammy. So she's under the coin spell, and suddenly she's real into the Mitch guy. But then this part got confusing, because so far, the wishes haven't really been backfiring on people. Like, the Leprechaun grants a wish, and then it just kind of happens. But this one, the girl, like, she's all horny for Mitch, but then she starts punching him and beating him up.
Yeah. And he's like okay with it. He's like, all right, well, if that's what you like. He's like, go ahead, hit me again. I'll do it to myself. Here we go.
Yeah. So I thought this was going to be like, I thought that was going to be like, oh, the wish backfired on him. But then, no, that's not really it.
Yeah, I mean, well, it does later, I guess, but.
Well, what interrupts that scene is the two gangster dudes talking about like clothing and fashion.
The boxes keep crawling up my butt.
I hate that. I go with jockeys now.
Yeah, you know, makes me feel like a sissy.
I don't know what purpose this scene serves other than they needed to get the movie to 90 minutes. So they just had these two guys just ad-lib about underwear and shit. So yeah, Loretta is like spying on Mitch and Tammy. She gets the coin and breaks the spell. So of course Tammy's out of there. So after Tammy leaves, the leprechaun does like magic on the TV. And he makes like a magic sexy lady come out of the TV. But before that, the girl's like, oh, Mitch, you're so great. And Mitch is like, oh, this is amazing. And he's about to make out with his TV. James, I can't speak for anyone, but I don't think I'd ever be horny enough to like make out with a TV if it said my name. It's the most bizarre thing in the world. He's like, oh, come on, baby, to the TV. It's like, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, and it only gets more bizarre.
Yeah, it gets more bizarre because she comes out, and this is one of my favorite parts. While she's like making out with him, the leprechaun is constantly doing infomercials. But they remind me of infomercials I saw at that time where they're like, oh, get your psychic reading and stuff. Like, remember Miss Cleo? Miss Cleo was probably the most popular one.
Oh, okay. I don't remember the names, but I remember it was usually like
Miss Cleo. She was like the Jamaica one. She's like, call me now, man.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that. But I remember like, yeah, late at night, those kind of infomercials would play usually.
Yeah, Miss Cleo was definitely the reason I remember Miss Cleo the most. Is one, she got like arrested for something, but two, in the early 2000s, someone made a Miss Cleo soundboard that you could call and use to prank call people. Oh. So I used to prank call people with Miss Cleo's voice.
Oh yeah, oh those soundboards. Yeah, I remember all that.
The Arnold Schwarzenegger one was probably the most popular one.
Yeah, I remember the Howard Stern ones.
Yeah. The girl's like making out with Mitch. The TV's talking to him, and then suddenly the girl is now a robot.
Yeah. Now this is the part I found the weirdest.
I don't know if that's like a careful with you what you wish for irony thing. She's just now a robot electrocuting him.
Yeah, no, she's a robot with boobs.
Yeah, she still has the human boobs. I forgot about
so creepy. Like I thought this was by far the creepiest part. I was laughing because I was so creeped out. So it's basically like an armature of the, the robot, like the endoskeleton or whatever. But certain parts are like, prosthetic, like human. Like
it looks like a Terminator to me. I don't know.
It's like a Terminator if you put like boobs on it and then like flesh. I think the hands were real, if I remember correctly. Like I
think so, yeah.
And then the head was flesh. I mean, it looks like plastic and everything, but it was so creepy. Like it almost looked like something out of like Brothers Quay. Yeah. It's so weird.
It's very, very disturbing. And then while this is happening, the two gangster guys come in. And this is the worst scene in the movie because the leprechaun pokes a guy's eye out. We all know I hate that.
You know what? I tell you one thing, just not to interrupt, but like there's a scene in Search of Darkness 2 where they just do a montage of all different horror movies where like people are getting their eyes stabbed. And I was like, oh my God, I got to tell Tony about this.
James, last month I had my third eye surgery where they shoved needles and stuff.
Oh God, yeah, I heard about that. I was like, Jesus Christ, like again.
Yeah, it keeps happening over and over again, and it was the worst. It's the worst. I think now I'm okay, but man, that was rough because it was an entire weekend where like, if I closed my eye, it felt like I was getting stabbed. If I opened my eye, the light made me feel like I was getting punched. So the only thing I could do was just sit in my room with all the curtains down in the darkness.
Oh my
So yeah,
God.
the eye stabbing scene is the worst part of this movie. Don't think we need it. And thanks for letting me know about In Search of Darkness 2. I'm gonna fast forward that scene like crazy.
I have to let you know the time code or something.
Yeah, please do. Actually during this scene, because the movie cuts back and forth a lot. It cut to Scott eating some food in like a cafeteria or something, and he's starting to turn more Irish. He really loves potatoes, and then he does like a rhyme.
He cared not for steaks or for pastries and cakes, but lived upon penis au gratin.
Metallica. No, wait. White zombie.
But she thinks it's a White Zombie lyric.
Yeah.
James, it's been a while since I listened to White Zombie. Do they have any Irish folk songs about dicks? I'm not sure.
Not even close. But it does seem like something that Rob Zombie might do at some point. I don't know. It could still happen, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not familiar with their catalog, so I didn't want to go in on her form. But thanks for letting me know that is not a White Zombie lyric. I do like when Scott is like looking in the mirror or something, and his face like morphs into the leprechaun, but it looks like just like a caveman. He doesn't really look like a leprechaun per se.
Yeah, and like at this point, I think I just started to forget that leprechauns weren't originally supposed to be these scary things. They're those like creepy monsters from those horror movies, right? Like because now it's starting to seem like a genre. Like, of course, they're all these killer leprechauns.
I think I told this around rental reviews, but I'll just repeat it here. My cousin found out that I showed my goddaughter and her sisters the first Leprechaun movie because a few days later they were playing with each other, and they're like, "I'm the leprechaun. I'm gonna eat your ear off," or whatever. And like my cousin's like, "Now why would they think leprechauns did that?" And like 5 minutes later, she calls me, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I guess I did show them that movie." Now they have like a thing about leprechauns. I ruined leprechauns for them forever.
Yeah.
They enjoyed the movie though.
Then of course there's that scene in Wayne's World or Wayne's World 2. So Garth is afraid of leprechauns too. So he has the same idea that they're just evil all the time.
Loretta wishes to be young and beautiful. Like I didn't realize while watching, I'm like, wow, they really did age her up. They made it look like she was in her 40s. They made her boobs look like they were sagging. So when she's like actually herself, it's actually a big transformation. She gets rid of her Peg Bundy hair and she suddenly has like short hair. But the leprechaun has some other ideas about her looks. He rhymes constantly about what he's gonna change. So suddenly her boobs, her lips, and her ass all become gigantic.
Yeah, and this is probably the second most disturbing scene. And
she looks like a duck. She looks like a duck person with the big lips and the big butt.
I don't know what that was all about, but anyway, that's like the kill in this scene, and like Caroline Williams like had to do all these prosthetics, and these effects were pretty creepy, and like I can't imagine what it was like filming that kind of thing.
I do like when she explodes, like the inside of her looks like stuffing. It looks like yellow stuffing or something.
It definitely looks like that's just, whatever they blew up, they couldn't make it look, anymore. It's sort of like with those type of explosions, when you see that, and you don't see any innards coming out, because this is not Tom Savini quality or anything. Whenever you see that, it's always funny because you know that that's not really what they meant it to look like, but it's like, hey, you got an explosion. It's like you got to see a body exploding.
It's one of those things where, like, hopefully it goes by so fast no one will notice, but then it's like super noticeable. But it's funny because you're right. There's no blood or guts, but then it cuts to the leprechaun and he gets blood on his face, and it's like, nah, bullshit.
Yeah, it's really funny. That's definitely one of the highlights. Is whenever you see an effect, a low budget effect, it's great.
So I like Scott and Tammy are looking for the leprechaun's gold, their pot of gold. And because he has leprechaun powers now, he can like sniff the gold and he finds it. And Tammy's like, all right, let's destroy it to get rid of this leprechaun. But his leprechaun genes aren't letting him. He's tempted by the gold. It's, you know what, James? It's just like the Wolfman. I think it's just as effective and good as the Wolfman, I think. But when I think of were movies, I do Wolfman, Leprechaun 3.
Yeah, Wolf.
Yeah, Wolf is pretty good. I put Leprechaun 3 above Wolf. I'm going to put it above Wolf. So Leprechaun shows up and they fight over the gold and then they escape. But like, since he's changing, he's in a bunch of pain. So Tammy takes him to the hospital. And also the Leprechaun shows up to the hospital disguised as a nurse where it's just he's wearing scrubs. His leprechaun hat with the paper over the hat and a mask, and he just walks in and no one pays any attention. They're like, oh, clearly that's just a leprechaun nurse. In the hospital, they had slot machines. Like, there's a scene where they're like in the hospital, you just see a guy playing the slot machine in the hospital, which apparently Vegas is known for having slot machines everywhere. Again, I have not been there.
I didn't know. I mean, I've never been in a hospital in Vegas, but they are like once you get to the airport, it's like, Yeah,
I heard like the airport has slot machines everywhere. Oh, I haven't been to a hospital in Vegas. I've been to a hospital in Atlantic City, and that was fucking rough.
Oh, really?
I was in there for something like minor. I had like a stomach issue or something, but like, I was like 15, and I saw some shit in there, man. Like, it was pretty gruesome.
Wow, like what?
Dude came in with like his leg cut off.
Oh,
Another guy came in with like bullet holes. There was one girl who got stabbed. And I had to hear the like doctor fight with her because he's like, you need stitches. And she's like, I'm afraid it's going to hurt. And he's like, it's going to hurt a lot less than getting stabbed. And that like moment, that memory is just burned into my mind.
Wow. Like, so that was the exchange. The doctor said it's going to hurt a lot less than getting stabbed.
Yeah, she was afraid of getting stitches. Meanwhile, she was like cut open and the doctor's like, I remember the doctor, like you can just tell like he deals with this all the time. So I'm seeing like horrifying things and it's just a Tuesday for this dude.
Oh my God.
And then he sees me with the stomach issue and I think he had like a sigh of relief. He's like, oh, thank God. Just take this, go to the bathroom. I love the sight gags when they're doing tests on Scott. They're like, where's his whatever graph? And it's just fuck you and 4-leaf clovers. They're like, where's his EKG? And his EKG is just dancing leprechauns. Again, this movie did not care. This movie was all out for it.
Yeah, this is just a fun movie. Like, this is like, not meant to be taken serious at all. It's almost like a Looney Tunes horror film or something.
So yeah, Scott uses his leprechaun powers to break out. They meet up in the morgue. The leprechaun has the girl like kidnapped in the morgue. They face off. The girl like puts the medallion in the leprechaun's mouth, and he leaves without. He gives him the finger while he's leaving, which I thought was really funny. They told him Fazio has the coin, so now they're all in a rush to go to the casino to get Fazio's coin. The leprechaun shows up and just interrupts his act, and I thought this was like freaking hilarious, where he puts Fazio in the case and he goes to chainsaw him in half and everyone just thinks it's part of the act. This is one case where they did have guts and innards because the leprechaun breaks him in half and all his guts spill out. So they couldn't afford it for the blowing up girl, but they got it for Fazio's death. So yeah, the leprechaun and Scott Leprechaun finally face off again. And I like that the leprechaun is doing like a Darth Vader.
Scott, come over to the green side. I'll make you rich.
And again, James, this is on par with Empire Strikes Back to me. I was just as invested in the characters. I thought the villain was just as good.
Absolutely.
I really thought, I thought Scott was more likely to become a leprechaun than I thought Luke would become a bad guy. So, Leprechaun 3 did one thing better than Empire, and I think everyone on the internet will agree with me. But no, he resists the temptation and he melts the gold, which is the source of his power. And then for some reason, that makes the leprechaun's body start flying around the casino in flames.
Yeah, which is a great ending, by the way.
It's a great ending, but it's like, why did his body fly? I don't understand. Like, I was expecting him to like burn and melt. I didn't think he was gonna fly. And it's so clearly just on a string that's being like shoot around. The happy ending, they have 1 shilling left. They can wish for anything. But the girl's like, I have everything I need. And it's like, what? You just met this guy like 3 hours ago. He got all your friends killed, and also he was a leprechaun for like a second. Hold on to that gold shilling and wish for something better, lady. Like, this is the worst ending.
Yeah.
And that is Leprechaun 3.
Yeah, and the leprechaun's dead, by the way, and he still has more movies to go.
Well, remember, I really think it's a different Leprechaun each time because the continuity doesn't work out.
Okay, yeah. Which is great because I like when you see the monster die at the end. I like when something happens. You get a good effect. You get a burning and there's like a corpse. And because I don't like when they always do this open-ended thing where, you know, nothing really happens. So yeah, I think that's kind of cool just to have it be like, okay, this could be the last one.
Like I said, it's easy. You just assume all the leprechauns look alike. I mean, in part 4, they show he can clone himself, so it doesn't need to be the same leprechaun. Because as of right now, we reviewed it. Leprechaun Returns is the only direct sequel to a Leprechaun movie. Even Leprechaun Back to the Hood is not a sequel to Leprechaun in the Hood.
Oh, really? Even though it's called Back to the Hood?
It's just another Leprechaun in the Hood. It's just a different Leprechaun, different hood, apparently. And again, like, this is when I know the last movie was Hollywood, but it didn't really feel like Hollywood other than when they were on that car tour. Leprechaun in Hollywood, you want to see him on movie sets and shit. This one delivered on Leprechaun in Vegas. It's like, yeah, you want to see him in casinos. You want to see him gambling, walking around. You want to see wacky hijinks. The next one definitely delivers on space.
Yeah. Now I'm looking forward to talking about that one next year.
That like I said, 3 and 4, I love just watching those two back to back. They're so much fun.
Yeah, that's such a good reminder too that these movies, you don't have to see them in any order. It really doesn't matter because with a lot of horror movies, with franchises, you tend to go to the first one because it's like the first one's usually the best. But this is not the case with Leprechaun. With Leprechaun, it seems like the series was finding itself as it would go on. Like, I haven't seen all of them, but I do know that by the time you got to the space one, it's just like, it's crazy.
I highly recommend them. Like I said, the only one... I mean, you could just go into Leprechaun Returns and you can, like, kind of figure out. But, like, that's the only one where maybe you watch the first movie. But you're right. It's different Leprechaun, different rules. Usually you watch the first in an entry to learn the rules of the monster.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter for this one. The only one I ever say avoid is Leprechaun Origins because it has nothing to do with Leprechaun. It's like Gremlins, but not like the movie Gremlins. It's just they look like Gremlins, and WWE produced it, and it's terrible. I think they lied about the wrestler who's in the movie. So there's a little wrestler who would go by the name Hornswoggle, and he was a Leprechaun-themed wrestler. So when WWE said that they were doing a Leprechaun movie, you assume, like, oh, they're going to put makeup on Hornswoggle, and he's going to be the new Leprechaun. But no. They made it about these gremlin monsters, and then they said Hornswoggle was one of them, but I highly doubt it. I think they just threw his name on the movie. Leprechaun Origins is awful. Never watch it. But watch the other ones all the time. I think right now they're all on Peacock, that streaming Peacock Peacock for free. So I would definitely check that out. And thank you for coming to talk about these stupid movies with me.
It's weird that it was a year ago when we stopped filming rental reviews in person. And it's became like, okay, well, how are we going to continue these? And we've been doing this, and here we are a year later, and maybe soon we'll be able to get in person again.
Hopefully. God, I hope so. But yeah, so I'm gonna leave the video store now that I definitely haven't been using for personal things, and just don't check your mail or anything. Don't check for any bills that you're getting about electricity and heat and whatnot, and don't talk to Mr. Lobo at all. Just trust that everything's fine, James.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just hang out here in the other video store, which I've had all to myself for like a year now.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird knowing that you're just right over there through the cow door. But
yeah.
But yes, so that was Leprechaun 3, and we will see you all later. Goodbye.
Happy St. Paddy's Day.
Happy St. Paddy's Day, which I think was yesterday, but whatever.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our other videos and Patreon page.
Talking about tapes.